What is down, everybody? It is your main course, Little Pancake. Welcome back to another video today. We're picking up, we're moving. We've gotten what we can out of the soil in this ground, and we're moving to Madagascar. Not the penguins. They are not of concern right now. What is of concern in Madagascar currently, to me and to you, is the red ruffed lemur. Not much more Madagascarian. I don't know if that's how you refer to things from Madagascar, but not much more Madagascarian than a lemur. Alright? I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what a lot of people think of when they think of Madagascar. That and the penguins. And Marty. Let's get into the red ruffed lemur. Scientific name, Varesia rubra. Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Only 2 species in the genus Varesia, also known as the ruffed lemurs. There is this red ruffed lemur, and then there's, I think it's like a black and white ruffed lemur, something like that. They are, of course, native to Madagascar. They can only be found in the rainforest of Massawa in the northeastern part of the island, so right around here. They are one of the largest primates in Madagascar, and they're the largest member of the family Lemuridae. So they're the largest lemurs, pretty much. Their body length is around 21 inches, or 53 centimeters, and then their tails are about 24 inches, or 60 centimeters. So their tails are longer than their bodies, and that's something. They weigh anywhere from 7.3 to 7.9 pounds, or 3.3 to 3.6 kilograms. Females are ever so slightly larger than males, but it's not that noticeable. They have very slender bodies and long, lanky legs. We all know a guy that looks kind of like this. You know? They have soft and thick fur that is red and black in color. They're pretty cool looking little monkeys here. Little lemurs. Misspeciesized them. I'm sorry, I apologize. They have a cream-colored spot on the nape of their neck, and some individuals have a whitish or pinkish patch on the back of their limbs and fingers, and a ring at the base of their tail. They have a narrow snout with small black ears, little tiny ears. You just want to kind of grab them and wiggle them. You know, they groom themselves using their tooth comb, which is the low incisors. So these are kind of spaced apart enough to get in the fur and pick stuff out. The second toe of their hind foot is specially adapted to grooming. So it would be this toe. They're very clean animals. They spend a lot of time grooming, and they participate in social grooming, so they groom each other. Pretty cool. They stay clean. Cleaner than some humans, I'm sure. Red ruffed lemurs live to be 15 to 20 years old in the wild, and the oldest lemur ever grew to 33 years. That was in captivity, however. They are diurnal animals, so they're most active during the day, especially in the early mornings, late evenings, so dusk and dawn. They are the largest pollinators in the world. We're gonna get into their diet in a second, but they do eat pollen. I mean, they do eat nectar. Sorry, they don't eat the pollen. They do eat nectar from time to time, and the pollen from these flowers will get all up on their nose and transport it. I mean, they're pollinators. I mean, you guys know how pollination works. That's pretty cool. A primate pollinator. Got a nice ring to it, hasn't it? No. Like I said, they do eat nectar. It mostly consists of fruit, though. The only times that they will branch off from fruit is when it is scarce. And when fruit is scarce, they will eat nectar, leaves, and seeds, too. They like fruit. They are considered the most frugivorous of all the lemurs. They also play a very large role in seed dispersion. The fruits that they eat the seeds, too. The seeds survive digestion at the other end, and you've got a new tree. They're very important members of the ecosystem. Pollinators treat seed dispersers Now let's get into their social life. They typically live in small matriarchal groups. Matriarchal means that it's ran by a woman. So the females are in charge. And these smaller groups can range anywhere from 2 to 32 individuals. And then when food is plentiful in the wet seasons, they will oftentimes form even larger groups and come together, kind of like a feeding frenzy. But then once the dry season comes back around, the food gets scarcer. They'll break back off into their smaller groups, and even sometimes they'll break off as individuals. And this is actually unusual behavior for primates. They typically do not, form a group and then split off and then form a group and then split off. Typically, primates will just stick together forever. Their territories are quite large. A large group can have up to 150 acres of territory. So it's quite the territory for a 8-pound lemur. Now let's get into their love lives, shall we? Let's get personal up in here. Some studies suggest that the red ruffed lemurs are monogamous, which is pretty cool, and that when they are in love, they'll be, in the big group during the wet season, and in the dry season, just the two will break off as a pair. Two starstruck lovers searching for fruit in the forest. It's a tale as old as time. They reach sexual maturity at about 2 years old, and then they typically don't reproduce until they turn 3. Gestation is about 102 days. So they get going. Females will typically keep their young in nests made with twigs, leaves, vines, and fur. And these nests will be anywhere from 33 to 66 feet in the air. That's 10 to 20 meters. This is very unique behavior for primates. Only this species does it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of wacky. They have a fixed breeding season at the end of the dry months from May to July. And this is so that the young will be born in the wet season, wherein food is plentiful. And then ruffed lemurs are also the only primates that give birth to litters of young, which can be up to 6 babies large. So this is a very unique primate. I mean, they got a lot going on that's just kind of weird. But yeah, they can have up to 6 babies at once. Typically, they have 2 to 3. Newborns already have fur and can see. However, they cannot move. They are much less developed than most other lemurs at birth. Most lemurs are born ready to go. They're ripping and rolling, buddy. They're ready to... They're left in the nest until they are 7 weeks old, and then they can wobble around with mom. Unlike most primates, once again, this is coming back to them being underdeveloped. When babies are born, they're not strong enough to hold on to their mother. So the mother must move them one at a time. So that if they're moving from the nest to somewhere else, mom's got to... Which, if you got 6 kids to move, whew, that's a job right there. If the mother does leave the nest shortly after the babies are born, and she doesn't want to carry them all the way to wherever she's going, which is probably to get food, the father will stand guard. So the father is actually doing something, which is pretty cool. You don't see that very often in the animal kingdom. Weaning occurs at 4 months. So once they're 4 months old, mom is like, no more. It is estimated that 65% of young do not survive past 3 months old. That's not good numbers. And this is mainly due to falling out of trees. I mean, you're 50 feet up in the air, and mom leaves, and dad's watching you. He's not paying attention. He's just hanging out, watching football, drinking a beer, whatever. So, as you could imagine, it'd be pretty easy to just, oh, what's over there? Ah! So, how do they communicate? How do they talk to each other? Well, they scream pretty much. They have loud, booming calls that can be heard from up to half a mile away. That's a long ways away to just hear a whoa, whoa, or something like that. I don't know. This is what it sounds like. The Duke Lemur Center has recorded at least 12 distinct calls from the lemur, which is a lot of distinct calls. A lot of animals only have, 2 or 3, but 12, it's impressive. And then, despite living in completely different areas, the two ruffed lemur species, the red ruffed lemur and the black and white ruffed lemur, can understand each other's calls, which is very interesting. So they have very similar calls. And then scent marking is also used as a way to communicate. So, pissing on trees and whatnot. That's one of my main ways of communication as well. According to the IUCN Red List, you all saw this coming. The red ruffed lemur is critically endangered. Threats to the lemur include logging, burning of habitat, intense cyclones, mining, hunting, and the illegal pet trade. So, a laundry list of threats there. They also have multiple natural predators that don't help them out any, such as large snakes, large eagles, and the fossa. One thing that hoping to be a saving grace was the Massaoala National Park. This was created in 1997, has helped somewhat to protect the species. A lot of the species range is outside of the park, but it is the largest protected area in Madagascar, so that's something. Unfortunately, this park has been the subject of increased illegal logging since 2009. There was some political stuff that went down. I don't know what. I didn't look into the politics of it. It just says that some political events happened in 2009 that led to a increase of illegal logging. The logging has caused a lot of political strife. It's an interesting point. Hopefully they've cracked down on that, gotten better at it, but I'm sure it's still going on. It's estimated that their population is still declining. There are approximately 590 lemurs in captivity. Okay, so the San Francisco Zoo says that estimates suggest there are perhaps as few as 1,000 left in the wild. I don't know where the San Francisco Zoo got that from, but the IUCN doesn't have a number for an estimated population. It just says decreasing. So I'm not gonna say that San Francisco Zoo is right. I'm gonna say that's a very, very rough estimate, because a lot of the stuff I saw, they said that they don't have an estimate. So, but there are 590 in captivity. Several zoos are conducting breeding programs, and then in order to help with these breeding programs, some wild-caught individuals have been added into the breeding programs to help with inbreeding and prevent inbreeding. So it's not looking great for our boy, the red ruffed lemur. He's on the decline. Hopefully Madagascar sorts out their logging situation. With the population as cryptic as it seems to be, who knows? There could be a decent amount left that we don't really know about. Let's not jump to any rash conclusions. But yeah, that's all I have for you about the red ruffed lemur. A very cool species. Looks awesome. I mean, this guy looks cool. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We just hit 700 subscribers recently, so that's pretty awesome. We're closing in on 1,000. That's a crazy goal, but I think it's possible because of you guys. But thank you so much for watching. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Make someone else's day better if you can. There's always someone out there who would like to hear from you. I promise. And yeah, I will see all of y'all later.